right, that's what's up. We're live. We're back in action. The Power 32 podcast is ready to start chatting, fingers snapping and toe tapping as we await what will happen on opening night when they call out the captain's delight, baby. L.A. Broadus in the house today with me, host of Brownstown, USA, and of course, a very proud, happy member of the Third and Three podcast family. What up, L.A.?
Hey, what's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man, we had to do this thing. Football's back in action. So are we. That's the way it goes, baby. That's the way it goes. My name is Jason Fearman, a.k.a. The Sports Prophet, and today's show is brought to you by Reebok. The deal of the week for Reebok this week, get Reebok Rewind shoes for just $39.99. That's some crazy prices right there. It's like lower than gas, man. So with the code REWIND at checkout, go ahead. Third and Three Podcast will hook you up. Just go to thirdandthreepodcast.com, and we got all them goodies for you. And we got a lot of goodies right now because LA's in the house, and that means we're talking NFL action right now because his Cleveland Browns, yes, there's a lot of drama going around that, but we're going to try to keep it on the field for the most part. But, of course, it'd be ridiculous not to mention what has gone on lately. And it went from 6 games to the NFL and Roger Goodell appealing to 11 games, which is a very odd number. It is an odd number, but it's very odd to come out with that sort of number, LA. And even more odd is the fact that when he does come back, when he's eligible to come back, it's going to be against his old team, the Houston Texans. Now, I find that to be no coincidence whatsoever, yet a correlation on the NFL's part.
Yeah, it was wild, man. It was going back and forth. Of course, we knew that DeShaun Watson's party wanted it to either stay at 6 or go lower. But then I had heard some rumors and things saying that they were actually trying to negotiate with the NFL earlier this week, and they had threw out an offer of 8 games with the $5 million fine. And
Right.
yes, the NFL came back and said, no, we still want a full season. So then they were able to kind of settle upon 11 as being the final number. It's a huge number, but at the end of the day, as far as what I've seen, as far as fans and not even just Browns fans, but just fans in general, there's still a general backlash about it because a lot of people feel like he shouldn't be in the league whatsoever. Then you have other people that thought that the suspension should be lower. So at the end of the day, you can't make everybody happy. And like I said, they settled upon the 11.
Yeah, again, a very strange number to go to 11, and again, he'll be first eligible to play against the Houston Texans. Just very odd the way that does work out. So it is a strange thing, and again, it's not like he was criminally charged with anything, so they couldn't go as far as maybe they would have liked. I still thought it was going to be a full year, and then again, when you compare it to other things, whether it's Calvin Ridley or Ben Roethlisberger back in the day, or even a Ray Rice situation, everything is different. And I guess they weigh it by your talent, and DeShaun Watson is an incredible talent. He'll be on the field for your Cleveland Browns. And, I guess I got to ask you straight up, you're a Cleveland Brown diehard fan. Like, is this going to be easy for you to root for him once he gets on the field? Or is this going to be like a sort of thing where you look at it like, like I want to wait and see, and hopefully he'll regain some respect or, some self-pride, going on as the season goes along, and try to humble himself a little bit too.
Honestly, man, it's been exhausting, man, just to be a Browns fan, my whole entire life, but even more so like this year, because I didn't think that the situation would drain me the way it did, but it actually did because of the fact that being on different shows, talking about it, waiting for, the final hammer to drop. As far as when he gets back on the field, look, I root for the Browns. You know what I'm saying? So anybody who puts on the jersey, I know it's kind of blunt to say, but it is what it is because it is sports at the end of the day. So if he puts on the jersey, I'm going to definitely root for him. Now, as far as like saying or being all outlandish and saying, oh, that's my quarterback and this, that, and the other, I'm going to definitely refrain from doing all of that. But as far as just being a team, rooting for the team, I'm going to root for the team. And if he so happens to be on the field and leads us to victory, then I'm cool with that. But I can't say that. And I've had players too in the past that have been on my team that I didn't really care for. So I'm just gonna put it in that category. Like, hey, look, I don't really care for him off the field, but as far as when he steps on that field and he leads our team to victory, then yeah, I'm gonna root for the Browns.
Yeah, I hear you saying it's a different aspect, but, I go back to T.O. with the 49ers, and of course, he was not accused of anything like this. He was just kind of like a bad seed, if you want to call it that way, and kind of like a team killer. And while I absolutely did not like Terrell Owens, even when he was all world everything with the 49ers, yeah, of course I was rooting for him at the end of the day. I wanted good things to happen. So I understand rooting for your team. Again, this is a different kind of predicament, but at the same time, you know what? Young guy made a huge mistake, however you want to slice it, but let's hope that he mans up and learns from it. He's still, 26 years old, and we'll see what happens. It's going to be a while, but as far as the quarterback situation is concocted right now, you got Jacoby Brissett, who I happen to like, who I've seen him do good things, whether it was with New England or with the Colts. So I do like the kid, but all this talk about bringing in Jimmy G, I'd be the first one to tell you, LA, and I would love to hear. No, you're shaking. I'm with you. Like, no, it doesn't make sense to bring him in at all. Brissett could do anything that Jimmy Garoppolo can do. And why bring him in for 11 games, and then DeShaun Watson's going to come back? So to me, I would just stick with Brissett because they're not going to really get anybody better than that, and that includes Jimmy Garoppolo. So what do you think about that situation? Again, I would stick with Brissett and let the things happen the way they happen.
Well, I mean, the team has already came out and said that they're behind Brissett. They're not pursuing anything else when it comes to that. They think that they're pretty much set with Brissett, Dobbs behind him, and Rosen as the third option. Um, and as far as what I've seen in training camp, and then we've seen Dobbs perform very well against the Jaguars last week. Brissett is not going to play this weekend, so we'll see. We'll see Dobbs and Rosen again.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see Brissett that third final game. But from what I've seen, he's been doing really well. He has really great chemistry with the receivers and the tight ends. Of course, you already know about our monster running game.
Oh, yeah.
So really, what it's going to just boil down to these 11 games is just being what the Browns have been for these past couple years, and that is, run first option. And then depend on that defense, which is a juggernaut as well. So,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, yeah, your team is really stacked. I mean, we can look at it just offensively. I mean, they're not the greatest wide receivers in the world, but you got Amari Cooper's over there now. Peoples-Jones is a good player. Of course, Njoku, who sometimes I feel like should be playing a lot better. But then you got that brick wall with Jedrick Willis is over there, and Wyatt Teller is over there, and yeah, you got a very solid line. And of course, Nick Chubb, who I feel is getting slighted a little bit as a running back, not just in regular NFL, but in fantasy too. Like, I would think this guy would be like a top 5 fantasy pick, but for some reason he keeps falling out of like the top 8, 9, or even 10. Why is that? That's weird to me.
Well, like I told you on Twitter, the thing with Chubb is that, yeah, he's a home run hitter, and he definitely averages great yardage. You know what I'm saying? Like, even for his career, he's like at like 5.5 yards a carry, which is absolutely crazy.
Right. He's like another one of those guys who gets better as the game goes along too,
Yeah, but the thing about it is that it's crazy because he'll rip off like a big run, and then he'll get us to within the 10, and then they'll take him out and put in Kareem Hunt. So a lot of people, like, if you're gonna get it, and I haven't played fantasy in a minute. Like I said, I retired after I went on a terror and just killed everybody, and then I retired. But if you're gonna go for Nick Chubb in fantasy, then you gotta handcuff Kareem Hunt as well.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, because like I said, they put in Kareem Hunt at the goal line. Because he's a little bit more versatile. They'll throw it to him out of the backfield, and he also runs like a madman too, at the goal line. So, like I said, anybody out there that's in fantasy, like, if you want to go for Nick Chubb, that's cool, but definitely package that with Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense, man. I got 3 drafts coming up in like the next couple of weeks, so I'll try to keep that in mind. Just going back to Watson for a second, real quick, because I meant to ask you, what do you hear the fans mostly saying? Cleveland Brown fans, do you hear a lot of them saying, you know what, I'm not rooting for Cleveland anymore? Do most of them say, you know what, it's still my team, like you're talking about, and I root for the jersey. I don't root for necessarily the players.
Yeah, most of the true Brown fans are like me, where they're saying they're just rooting for the jersey kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
The Browns fans that you really see making a lot of noise and a lot of uproar, or say, oh, I'm not rooting for the team anymore, To be honest with you, they were kind of like people that kind of got on the bandwagon when Baker Mayfield showed up. So you know how every fan base has that one player that you get, and then all of a sudden you get all the the people that rooted for him in college to come over to your team, and different things like that.
For sure.
So most of the people that are like leaving the Browns, like they're like, nah, that's because they weren't really true Browns fans. I mean, the season ticket holders are still there. It's still sold out. They're still supporting the team up here. As far as on Twitter and social media, they're still supporting the team. But it's not gonna go away for a while, and I'm pretty sure like that Steeler fans know about this when the whole Ben Roethlisberger thing happened. That the stigma sticks around for a while, but then as soon as the dude started winning, we didn't really hear too much about it anymore. Now you'll still get a joke here and there out of out of somebody, but other than that, it died down after he started winning. So
You're
that's
right.
really what it's gonna boil down to. Once the Cleveland Browns start winning, it's gonna go. I ain't gonna say it's gonna go away right away, but it'll start to die down.
You're 100% right. That'll help. No doubt about it. Because winning, they say, is like the cure-all medicine for the most part. I mean, nobody's going to, any true Cleveland Brown fan for the most part, like yourself, is not going to be rooting against them in the playoffs if they can go in advance, if they do make it that far. And that'll be interesting if they can do it. Because again, Brissett, yeah, he's limited in what he can do, but he can certainly manage a game, and even a little bit better than that. Because again, we don't like that term game manager so much, but with the running game, like we talked about, that two-headed monster with Chubb and Hunt, and we got Amari Cooper, Njoku, like we talked about, Peoples-Jones. Is that enough offense to help this really great defense that you guys have and what you're leaning on in order to get to, let's say, gosh, when Watson comes back 7-4, something like that? Do you think that, Brissett is good enough to handle it?
I think he is. My biggest concern with my team right now is definitely that wide receiver core. Because
Mm-hmm.
we know what Amari is. Peoples Jones flashed last year, but then he kind of fell off towards the end of the season. And then after Peoples Jones, right now we have slated our rookie David Bell from Purdue, which I really really like, and he's really good. He was injured for the first part of training camp, but now he's back, so now he's getting his feet wet now finally.
All
But
right.
he should be able to come along. It's put up or shut up time for Njoku finally. You know what I'm saying? But he's been looking really really good in training camp. So and then behind him we have Harrison Bryant, who's a pretty decent tight end as well. So like I said, the Browns, the way they don't just come out and like throw the ball like that. So it's like they establish the run and then they allow the run to establish their passing game. So once the defense starts like loading up that box against Chubb or Hunt, then that's when we'll start to see like those little tight end screens or slants and rollouts and stuff like that. And I
Mhm.
think that Brissett is capable of handling that.
I think he is also. He's a professional. He's been in this league for a long time. He's won football games. And you mentioned David Njoku again. I think that he really needs to step up and show his worth of what he did basically like in his rookie season when he wowed a lot of people. He's going to need to step up because we know that Amari Cooper will take games off. And if he's your number one wide receiver, that's really not a great thing. You don't have a CD Lamb to back him up over there. So let's see what happens. What you make of the Denzel Ward contract? Are you happy with that? You guys gave him that much money because he is a fantastic cornerback, but would you have spent it elsewhere? What do you think?
I think we did what needed to be done. He's been our number one corner. Now we do have a really really solid and deep secondary. But we had to lock him up. I mean, I felt good for the guy. Of course he's from Cleveland.
Yeah.
He's Oh no, Macedonia. Yeah, a little bit outside of Cleveland. So he's an Ohio kid, born and raised. Went to Ohio State, then got to play for the hometown team. I mean, just an overall feel good story. My only knock on Denzel is that he just doesn't stay healthy. If you look through his career, he's always missing at least like 4 games at least in a season. So
Mm-hmm.
I want him to work on his durability. But other than that, because even in training camp, like he just got back to training camp like maybe 2 days ago, because he was nursing a foot injury already. So I'm just like, man, dude, you got to stay durable. But
Yeah.
other than that, man, talent wise, hands down, he's one of the best corners in the league. I could argue that he's like top five. And we had to go ahead and lock him up, man. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think he may be that corner who steps up and, kind of do what, whether it's what Diggs did with a whole bunch of interceptions or have a year like J.C. Jackson last year or something like that. He's that good. And you got, Grant Delpit to go along with him. He's a good player, bringing in Johnson as well. And you got Greedy Williams back there and Greg Newsome. Like you said, it's a really good secondary. You got good pass rushing with Myles Garrett, Jadeveon Clowney still on the team. So there's a lot to be happy about over there.
Absolutely. And for anybody out there, make sure y'all keep an eye on Greg Newsome, because I think this is going to be his, he had a really good season. He was highest among rookies, as far as coverage wise. So I'm looking at him to have a breakout season as far as nationally, where people really get to know his name this year.
No doubt. All right. I'm probably talking a little bit more Browns down the road, but I went in on some other teams like Baltimore Ravens last year. They just lost everybody, and Lamar Jackson had put that team completely on his back and showed everybody why he's one of the best players in the NFL. I'm going to tell you right now, he's my front runner for the MVP, especially because, again, they're going to get healthier. His numbers will be better. They're going to win more. And, they were 8-9 last year with third stringers, and when he went out, obviously it was a done deal. I know that you probably hate to, go this way, but I think Lamar Jackson really this year, to me, is the front runner, even though they have Mahomes, Josh Allen, even Aaron Rodgers in front of him. And that, to me, that really doesn't make sense. I'll get into that in a second. But what do you think about that overall?
That's a solid pick. He's coming in, he's playing with a chip on his shoulder because he wants that big contract. So I think he has something to prove.
Yeah.
I just hope he doesn't prove it against us, But no, that's a solid pickup, man. The Ravens are an easy layup pick because of the fact of how you said how many injuries they had last year, and now they're getting everybody back. I think I just seen that J.K. Dobbins, they activated him, so he should be in training camp. I'm not sure how much he's doing there, but I just know that he's back now. So they're slowly but surely getting people back, and they have a solid squad. They always have a solid squad. So. Yeah, and then with the Lamar with the chip on his shoulder, they're gonna be dangerous this year.
Yeah, they're a solid organization all around. They have been, since they moved from Cleveland. And again, no offense, I'm not taking shots at you over here at all, but no, they've been extremely solid. Going to Super Bowls, doing their thing, winning a couple. Yeah, not bad. So Dobbins coming back, like you said, he was on the PUP list for a while. So that's a great sign for them. If you're a Raven fan, but. Another thing is their top wide receiver is a tight end, and he's a great tight end, Mark Andrews. But I feel like, again, that is going to hurt Lamar Jackson and just hurt their offense overall, even though they certainly are a run team first. You need guys to throw the ball to, and so far Rashad Bateman has not been what they had hoped for.
Well, you talk to any Ravens fans, man, they really, really love Bateman. I don't know what it is, but I remember being in a Twitter space. And this guy was battling back and forth with me, and he was saying that Bateman was was better than Amari Cooper, and I was just floored. So they really, really believe in Bateman. So hopefully he has a good season for him.
Yeah, I just have I haven't seen it yet. It's been a short period of time, a small sample size, but he's going to really need to step up. There's no doubt. Yeah. There's no doubt. So yeah, Andrews, really being the top threat for the most part. The Steelers, I'm higher on them than other people are. Again, with Mike Tomlin there, they haven't had a losing season in, 15 years? I don't even know how long it's been, ever since he got over there. But whether it's Trubisky, who I think will be starting the season, or if they go to Kenny Pickett, I feel like they've gotten better this year. And I know that may sound weird to people because Ben Roethlisberger's not there, but he wasn't doing a whole lot, and their offensive line was not doing a whole lot last year. So I figured they improved. Najee Harris still rushed for 1,200-plus yards. They got good wide receivers in the house now. I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are a dangerous team, and I would not be hesitant to call them a playoff team. I think they're one that you're going to have to worry about in that division.
Yeah, I was doing a lot of cracking on the Steelers, before preseason, but then I actually got a chance to catch their game last week, and they still look good. And let's not forget, Tomlin knows how to run that team. He always keeps them in the hunt somehow, some way. And then they had this I can't remember the kid's name, but their rookie wide receiver. I think it started with a
shoot. I wish I knew it off the top of my head. I'm so bad with the rookie wide receivers. We know that they have Claypool and Deontay Johnson. They got rid of Juju Smith-Schuster Jr.
But this kid This kid showed out last week, and I was just like, man, if the one thing the Steelers know how to do is they know how to find some wide receivers. So
right?
they're gonna have a pretty nasty little wide receiver core there. And then I think that they came out and said that Trubisky is going to be the starter.
Mhm.
But Kenny Pickett, especially like last week, he had probably one of the best drives I've ever seen somebody have, like for their first ever drive in the NFL. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, he literally had like a 70-yard like TD drive, like where he just took the team down the field and was looking really clean. So they're not going to be as bad as everybody thinks. Their O line still looks a little shaky, but other than that, they're pretty solid.
Yeah, they are pretty solid, and it's George Pickens is the guy we're thinking of, the rookie that they got, and they're loving
Yeah,
him right now. Yeah,
he's nice.
that's the guy. Yeah, they are loving him. They're saying so many great things about this kid. His work ethic, everything, so on and so forth. So, no, I'm with you. And that defense, look, I mean, they're not like the flashiest defense, but they keep you from scoring. They get sacks, obviously, with T.J. Watt. Now, Pittsburgh is a tough team. People are going to need to really watch out. Deontay Johnson is extremely underrated because Ben Roethlisberger has not been himself for years. So I think we're going to see Pittsburgh. They're going to be tough, man.
Yeah.
T.J. Watt, Minka Fitzpatrick, guys like that. Cam Hayward, damn, they just don't get talked about enough. And I think has a lot to do, Watson in the division now, and of course Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens and even the Bengals going to the Super Bowl last year. So I just feel like Pittsburgh is getting forgotten about.
And I think they like it like that, man. That's actually
Yeah.
how the Steelers operate. They don't really care to be in the limelight. They want you to sleep on them, and then they just come out and start smacking people in the mouth. And I hate that about them because whatever it is, man. Like we usually like will split with the Ravens. These last couple of years we've actually swept the Bengals, but it's always the Steelers. Like we rarely get over that hump with the Steelers, and it happens like maybe once every millennium or something like that, like how you seen 2 years ago, when we were able to beat them twice and get into the playoffs and stuff. But well, actually we beat them to get into the playoffs and then beat them in the playoffs. So but yeah, like it I mean, they're just like the big brother, man. I hate to say it, but golly.
Gosh, I know. I'm with you, man. And yeah, I mean, there are even guys that we haven't mentioned, like Devin Bush, if he stays healthy. They picked up Miles Jack. I mean, it's Trey Edmonds. I mean, these are really good players, man. And again, they're so well coached. So, I mean, I'm with you. Pittsburgh is going to be tough. They really are. And that does bring us to Cincinnati, who is the defending AFC champions. I don't care what anybody says. Unless you're from Cincinnati, you did not make that pick. There is no way. And they made it. They had a rough year the year before, and that's in large part because Joe Burrow went out. But to me, LA, I think they really caught lightning in a bottle. I'm not saying they're a bad team at all. They went 10-7 last year, bro, and they just barely beat the Raiders in that wild card game. Joe Burrow had to make an amazing throw thrown across his body to hit Jamar Chase in order for them to get into range, to take the lead and go ahead. So they did play well. They didn't score a lot in the playoffs, but their defense, I feel like, overachieved. And with that being said, and seeing that they had let up, a few, 30-plus point games last year, I think one even into the 40s against the Chargers. I know that Cleveland had a really tough game against them. But I'm not really that high on Cincinnati right now. I feel like if there's a team that's going to fall back, and I know this happens a lot with the defending, champions of the Super Bowl who did not actually win, the runner-up, I should say, couldn't find the word, the runner-up at the Super Bowl, they usually do fall off. And I think that Cincinnati falls in that category, man.
Yeah, I think they fall in that category, not because I don't like their team, because they do have a very solid team, especially offensively. We know that they're just scary offensively.
Sure.
But the thing is that the rest of the division, their defenses are built around to stop what the Bengals have. If you look at the Ravens secondary, they got a pretty decent secondary. Steelers got a decent secondary, and the Browns got a great secondary. So we're built to actually stop the Bengals and their offense. Like that's why we were able to sweep them even last year when we didn't have that good of a season. But like that game, Jamar Chase only had like 30 yards receiving against us because we were able to lock him up. So I think because of the fact that the rest of the division, like how we mentioned, the rest getting healthy, the Steelers still looking good, the Browns, getting better. It's going to be very hard for the Bengals to, first of all, just come out of the division. And then also, too, with everybody else in the AFC getting better as well, and now everybody knows about the Bengals, right? Because before nobody was
Yes.
really paying attention. But when you get to that Super Bowl, no matter if you're the defending champion or you were the runner up, you got a target on your back now. So everybody's looking and seeing what you did. Everybody's studying that tape, and now they're going to be the hunted. Instead of the hunter. So just for those facts alone, yeah, I think that the Bengals take a step back, but I don't think that that they're bad at all.
Yeah, again, not a bad team. I'm definitely not saying that. Definitely saying again, they call lightning in a bottle for the most part to me, and they really had a good run. And I thought they were going to lose that AFC Championship game against Mahomes, but Mahomes had a brain fart in the second half and toward the end of the first half, to be honest with you. But yeah, Cincinnati only beat Pittsburgh by a half a game, because Pittsburgh had that tie, and the Ravens were 8-9. And again, when Lamar Jackson went down, that was it. So. Again, they had a lot of favorable things happen for them. The ball bounced their way a lot. Let's just say that. So let's see if they can do it again. But I will say that I do believe in Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I think that'll be a lethal combination for a while.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lethal combo. A lethal combo. Lethal combo. Dang, it's But the thing too, like, and I was laughing because Bengals fans on Twitter, man, they're getting really, really spicy with their sports takes and coming at people and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember battling with this Bengals fan. He was like, "Yeah, man, because y'all cap space about to be crazy, in the next season or something like that." And I was like, "Dude, do you realize how many young guys you got on your squad right now that's about to get paid? Like, y'all about to be in cap hell pretty soon as well."
Right.
Joe Burrow is gonna get a nice paycheck.
Oh,
You have to pay Chase because you're not gonna let Chase walk. You know what I'm saying? Like they're gonna have to pay some people pretty soon on the Bengals. So I
you're
was
right.
like, I said, just enjoy that rookie contract while you can, man, because once
Yep.
Burrow get paid, that's it.
Yep, that's right. That's why Jacksonville needs to act now. That's why the 49ers need to act now, while you have these guys. Yeah, no doubt. The one player they're not going to sign is Joe Mixon. As good as he is, they just are not going to pay a running back who is, going to be past his prime at some point. So maybe they'll try to save money there. But, yep, that's up to the front office. So we'll see. So which team do you think is the best in the division and the biggest threat to your team, the Browns?
The biggest threat to us is the Ravens. In
Yeah.
my like I said, we already went over how many people they got coming back healthy and stuff like that. Like I said, Lamar with the chip on his shoulder is going to be extremely dangerous. So I would say that the Ravens to me is still sitting where I pegged them to come out of the division, like being the division winner. Hopefully it doesn't happen like that, but I'm gonna keep it real.
Yeah, man. I root for you. You know how it goes, and you're in my heart, bro. I always will. So I have a soft spot for the Browns when it comes to that. There's no question. All right, let's do a little bit of would you rather, and then a little true or false before we get out of here. Try to have a little fun. We were just talking about Jamar Chase. Would you rather have him or Justin Jefferson?
Mm.
I know my answer.
I think I would probably go with Jefferson.
Mm.
Um, it's just with Jamar. I've seen him get locked up, and I've seen him. He has like explosive games, and then he'll have other games where it's just like, okay. So
Exactly.
yeah, so I'm gonna go with Jefferson on that one.
Yep. I for the same reason. I've seen Jamar Chase again. He'll have like a 200-yard game, which is spectacular, but then he'll disappear and have 30, 40 yards like for the next 2 or 3 games, 70 yards, So I will take Jefferson because he's more consistent as well. Amazing, really amazing. And they both have, pretty good quarterbacks thrown to him. Obviously, Kirk Cousins could be a lot better, even though you look at his stats. You think this guy's like a, all pro, all world, but not the way. Speaking of Joe Burrow, how about Joe Burrow or Justin Herbert?
Ooh,
That's the biggest comparison now. I feel like is like which one would you rather have out of those two guys?
I would say give me Herbert, and here's why. Herbert has not Burrow's beat up. He's been getting smacked
Already.
around. Yeah, he's been getting smacked around a lot. So I'm gonna go with Herbert because he's healthier. But that kid Herbert is I mean, I've seen Burrow do some amazing things, but Herbert is like magical, man. Like, I mean, I don't know if it's going to translate to them winning any chips, because we know it's the Chargers, but uh, that kid, he has something. He's special.
Oh, he's definitely special. There's no doubt. He was up there. He was basically second in every category as far as, the passing categories last year. And yep, big dude, and he's athletic, with an amazing arm. He's in a great situation. It's just that, again, their coach, and I'll continue to call him Brandon Staley until he gets his name back to be Brandon Staley. I'm just going to keep on doing it. So, yeah, he's the reason why they lost a lot more games. But, no, I'm with you. I would probably take Herbert as well, even though – look, that's not a slight on Joe Burrow. I mean, he took that team to the Super Bowl last year in a tough AFC, so nothing against him. Here's an interesting one that not a lot of people compare to because they are different quarterbacks, and Lamar Jackson is a different quarterback than pretty much anybody. But who'd you rather have, him or Josh Allen?
Lamar or Josh Allen?
Yeah.
I would go with Josh Allen, and
Right.
the reason being is because I understand what Lamar does, and he's definitely magical. But the kind of gymnastics you have to do to make sure that he's running the right offense for him, like he's so special. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
Compared to Josh Allen, if I'm building my team, I know he can scramble. Like of course, he's not like a track star or anything, but he's athletic. Big body, big arm. And seems like he puts his head down and works hard. Not saying that Lamar doesn't, but I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't, if I'm building my squad, I wouldn't have to like go through so many hoops and gymnastics to build my team, around Josh Allen, like how I have to do with Lamar.
Yeah, that makes sense. See, if you have Lamar, then you have to really run his offense for the most part. So I totally get that. And I remember even Josh Allen's rookie season, it was not a good season at all. But I looked at him and I said, this guy has got all the talent in the world. They just need somebody to put it all together. And Brian Daboll helped him do that. Let's see if Josh Allen can take what Daboll has left with him, still in Buffalo. And as far as Lamar goes, again, he's another guy you've never seen anything like it. Again, Michael Vick is the closest thing. But Lamar Jackson, he is just – if there's a one-man show ever, I mean, he is it. And that's why I really have him as the front runner for the MVP right now. He's incredible. But
look, I seen him do it against us, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought we had the game settled. He came back from the bathroom and beat our butts.
Yup.
And then with Josh Allen, I actually wanted him in that draft. Like, I didn't want Baker. And that's not or whatever, because he's gone now. So I'm not one of the Browns fans that's gonna crap on him or whatever. But I did want Josh Allen, and for those reasons of him being, he reminded me of a Ben Roethlisberger, like more athletic Ben Roethlisberger, because he's just as tall and as big as him. And I said, yo, that's the kind of quarterback that can last in the AFC North. But when they picked Baker, I was like, dang, man, he's short. It was all the things that don't last in the AFC North. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, that didn't make sense at all. So that's why I wanted Josh Allen from the jump,
See, great minds think alike. I'm with you. I said, look, even though it's Wyoming and it's raw talent, I mean, this is something that you can build around. And again, when I think about if it's 3rd and 3, full pun intended, obviously 3rd and 3 podcast, but if it's 3rd and 3, I think the two quarterbacks that you want more than anybody would probably be Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, because they can pick it up whether with their arm or with their legs. Maybe Patrick Mahomes in there too. Let's do a couple more of these. How about... Let me go on the defensive side, all right? And I'm asking this one for a very specific reason. Bobby Wagner or Von Miller? It's a tough one. Both on new teams this year?
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with Von.
Okay. All right. And I would go with Von too, Lamont. You see, what I'm trying to get at here is even with the next question. Let me go to OBJ or Allen Robinson. Who would you rather have?
Ooh, I probably would lean Allen Robinson.
Oh, you would? All right.
Yeah, that's because like with OBJ, he has games where he can disappear too. But the biggest thing about him, man, is that his injuries are crazy. Like, he's literally been injured the past like 4 years straight, whether it was an ankle, whether it was a ACL on one leg, ACL on the leg, then the ACL again on the same leg. Like, I mean, he's banged up.
From that aspect, I totally get it. That perspective makes full sense. I guess I was, kind of put it in a Faraday cage where nothing can happen. Where OBJ was like, but what you make perfect sense. You're 100% right. You got to think about that team wise, and I ain't sneezing on Allen Robinson at all. But I think my point is here is that I feel like the Rams did not get better. they made moves, don't get me wrong, to try to help out. But now they lost Andrew Whitworth, their left tackle, who I know he was like 97 years old, but he still held up. I don't think the Rams are going to be as good. And I know they're probably the front runners in the NFC, but I don't agree with that, bro.
I don't think they're going to be as good because they did a lot of – because you got to remember, like, the way that they built their team is they just threw a bunch of money at people, like, and was like, hey, come to us. Like, and we you know, like, they built like basically like an all-star team, and we knew eventually that was going to catch up with them, right? So I think we're starting to see it catch up with them. And then also, like, the NFC, and I get it as a whole, like, it's not as tough as the AFC, but there's still some really good teams, including your team, the 49ers, that are on that side of the ball, on the NFC. So they're not gonna just. I don't think it's just gonna be a cakewalk for them, like everybody is like acting like it's gonna be.
Oh, I agree. Look, I think even though Devontae Adams left Green Bay, I think Green Bay is going to try to turn themselves into more of a ground and pound type of team. Their defense has got better, especially in the front seven. A.J. Dillon, Aaron Jones. You got to watch out for the Saints. I know D is loving that right now. They're definitely a good team. Yep. Yeah. The Bucks, you know.
You got to watch out for the Vikings.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Nah, y'all got some teams over there, like, but it's just, I guess everybody's just focused on the AFC because of all the quarterbacks over there.
But the AFC is better overall. I mean, on paper right now, it definitely is. But who knows? An NFC team won it last year. It could happen again. No, I can't wait to make my prediction. I can't give it out yet, but I have my prediction right here. Maybe I'll tell you after the show. I can almost guarantee you that nobody has a Super Bowl, but I'm the prophet. I'm telling you it's going to happen. All right, little true or false over here, bro. Devontae Adams will lead the NFL in receiving yards. True or false?
Devontae Adams.
Now with the Raiders, with his boy Derek Carr.
Ooh, that's a tough one. Because they definitely air it out.
Oh, yeah. He's going to get a lot of targets, I think.
Ooh. You know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go true on that one.
I like it. I'm going true also. I think that he's going to get targeted probably like 180, 190 times this year, and we know he catches everything. And Derek Carr is thrilled to have him. I agree with you. I do. True or false? Jonathan Taylor will lead the league in rushing.
I'm gonna go false.
I like
and it. That's because I want my boys to lead.
Yeah. Hey, he's got a chance.
Jonathan Taylor is a talent, though, man. Golly, he's good.
Ooh, he really is. Last year was not a fluke at all. I was talking about him coming out of college, and nobody talks about Wisconsin. I'm like, yo, this boy is big. He is fast. He can do it all. This guy's an NFL player. He was perfectly, bred for the NFL. So, yeah, I love it.
I watched a lot of him in college because, that's Big Ten. So,
right.
I was checking him out, and I knew he was going to be a.
Yeah, you knew. You play him every year, so you knew what was going on. Yeah, he played I think he played till he was a senior. He played all 4 years, and man, that guy's good. Wow. But no, I agree with you. I think it's going to be somebody else. I'll take the field against Jonathan Taylor. I think teams are going to be more focused again from what he did last year, and also the fact that the Colts, they have Michael Pittman Jr. and really not too much else. They're talking about this Pierce kid, with Matt Ryan in the house, but I think they're going to be so run centric that. Teams are going to hone in on that. I still like the Colts this year. Don't get me wrong. I think they're going to win the AFC South, and we're going to do a show on Monday about that and talk about it. But yeah, I think that teams are going to be really gaga for Jonathan Taylor this year.
Yeah, they definitely have a squad. They're really balanced, and they got a nasty defense.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I said, everybody. Not saying that his success was like a lightning in a bottle, but again, when you have like a breakout year and nobody's really like paying attention, I ain't gonna say not paying attention, but they really weren't, and then now like, okay, boom, everybody's picking him to like be a feature back. Like, so I think like coordinators and stuff is gonna really be trying to scheme up to stop him.
For sure. No doubt about it. And we'll see what the Colts offensive line has to say about it with Quentin Nelson coming back, near 100%. If not, they still have a very good offensive line. But, again, there's a lot of good Ds out there and a lot of good D coordinators. We'll see. How about Tom Brady will throw for the most touchdown passes in the NFL? True or false?
I'm going to say false. I'll take the field.
All right. I think I may go true, and here's the reason why. I do like Leonard Fournette. I like him more than others, but when I think about, Godwin when he comes back, fully healthy, and Mike Evans and now Julio Jones there, maybe he'll revive his career. I like Russell Gage a lot. I feel like I feel like they're going to be airing it out all over the place and not running as much, which is why I might lean toward True. I don't know who, if not him, who? I don't know. Stafford could be up there, but dang, he throws a lot of interceptions. That's another thing. He led the league in interceptions last year. Maybe Herbert, Burrow. I don't know. What do you think?
I think Stafford could be up there. I think Carr could really be up there.
Okay.
Herbert definitely can be up there. Trying to think about other people. Kirk Cousins might be up there.
Actually, I mean, look, when you got Thielen and you got Justin Jefferson, why not, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think who else.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen could be up there, but I kind of see him more as like he's always just gonna be like maybe in the middle of that list, like middle to maybe bottom of the top kind of thing. I don't see him like leading though.
I do agree with you. I agree.
Yeah, because like a lot of times, like with his style, instead of like maybe throwing the touchdown, like they might be in situations where he'll just like run it in real quick or that. So yeah, I'll probably like go like maybe Carr, Herbert.
Those are the top candidates. Even still, Patrick Mahomes could still be up there. No Tyreek Hill, but if McCole Hardman is going to be healthy and MVS is over there, why not?
Yeah, I forgot they have somebody that they like too. They said, that's where Sky Moore is too, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. They're loving him.
Yeah, they love him over there. So like Chiefs fans, I'm actually really cool with a Chiefs fan. We be in Twitter spaces all the time together, and they're definitely not worried about losing Tyreek.
No, they're not. They're really not. Now, I remember we were talking about this during the season last year when Tyreek Hill was, killing it for the first 3 or 4 weeks, and they started bracketing him away. And they're like, oh, can they win, this way without Tyreek Hill being the main part? Yeah, they actually can. They can. And some people think that, Patrick Mahomes is going to be better off for it. We'll see. I love Patrick Mahomes. He's still one of the best I've ever seen. Last true or false I got for you. Lamar Jackson, back to him one more time. He'll have 1,000 yards rushing this year. True or false?
1,000?
1,000. Done it before.
Yeah, I know. Oh, I know.
You're like, I know. I don't got to tell you.
I'm gonna say true, man. I think he's gonna ball out like crazy this season. Man. I'm gonna hate every minute of it.
LA, I agree with you, man. That's why I keep saying we did our AFC awards on 3rd and 3 on Wednesday, and he was my MVP for the AFC, but I'm leaning toward MVP for the entire league. If he stays healthy, again, I can't think of a guy more valuable to their team than him. Yes, you take away Josh Allen, you take away Patrick Mahomes, you even take away Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry. I totally get it. I understand. But I feel like he's worth more and is more influential on his team than any other player is.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he is the Ravens. Like if he goes down, man, that Ravens team is gonna be, in shambles. Like he's that.
I'm saying you got any sneaky teams coming out this year? My sneaky team is the Detroit Lions. This has nothing to do with Hard Knocks. I've been thinking about this for months. I think the Lions are going to be pretty damn good this year. I really do. Jared Goff is way more confident in Detroit because he feels like the weight of the world is not on his shoulders anymore in LA, and a big, obvious, huge town. Definitely a sports town. There's no doubt about it. And going to Detroit, I feel like he's a little more relaxed. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown, DeAndre Swift, Jamal Williams. They got players over there, and they play really hard for Dan Campbell. I think that is one sneaky team that could make it to the playoffs, because we know every year we see a team that sucked the year prior that comes around and is like, wow, holy crap, they did it. Like Cincinnati. That's even a good example.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you took mine, because that was going to be my first pick was Detroit. But
oh, really? Okay, good then. I like that.
I'll throw out another team because I was very impressed with their defense when we played them, and I'll say the Jaguars. I think they're going to be a little bit better than what people are saying as well. Not like, oh, they're going to the playoffs or anything, but I think that they're going to be decent. I think Trevor Lawrence should bounce back. I love their defense. They can really go after the quarterback. Their defense is really sneaky good. So I think that I think the Jags might be a little sneaky, like if your team plays them, that's not gonna just be a pushover. Like that might be a trap game for you.
I agree. I love it right there. Yeah, and we were talking about it on 3rd and 3 as well. Damian and I are pretty high on the Jags. Not playoffs, like you said, but they can squeak out 8 wins, I think. And, yeah, that wouldn't be bad. You talked about getting the quarterback. The other Josh Allen, who plays on defense for Jacksonville, he's a whole other story together. He's another great player. So, yeah, I like Jacksonville also. I mean, if I had to do it right now off the top of my head, I'd say Buffalo wins their division. I think the Ravens win their division. I think the Colts win theirs. And I think the Chargers have the most talent. And again, as long as Brandon Staley doesn't F it up, I think that they'll do a pretty good job. Wild card teams, I like Miami, bro. Let me stop there for a minute. What are your thoughts on Miami this year?
I mean, just pretty much like the consensus is that we're just looking to see what Tua's gonna do. Other than that, they got a great defense. They got decent running backs. We know Tyreek Hill is there. But if Tua can get him the ball, I mean, and also too, I'm gonna be really curious to see how they scheme Tyreek because I don't know if they're gonna do bubble screens with him. Let's see how they scheme up. Him getting the ball because he could really have like a boom or bust year there.
And, you really can't just single him up because Jalen Waddle is a total threat. Mike Gesicki is a threat. And Cedric Wilson, if he could do what he was doing in Dallas, forget it. And, Tua, I think they're going to throw the ball down the field more this year because they're going to have the ability to. But he's extremely accurate. And when Tyreek Hill made that, kind of like sidewinded comment, saying, I'm playing with the most accurate quarterback, in a way, he really wasn't joking around. Patrick Mahomes, don't get me wrong, he's godly at quarterback, but Tua is extremely accurate. And if anybody watched the NFL last year, Tua was bringing them back in the 4th quarter. He did a really good job. So I'm more of a believer in him than a lot of other people. So I like Tua. I'm down on Cincinnati. I like Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburgh, believe it or not, actually makes the playoffs this year. Do you think they got a chance?
Hopefully no. Hopefully not. But like I said earlier, they are better than what people are giving them credit for. But like I said, with them, it's gonna boil down to what Trubisky does. If not, we'll see him get they'll pull his coattail, man, and then put in Pickett. Because I don't know what the thing was, man. It was like this rumor that was floating around. They were like, "Oh, Mason Rudolph has a chance," and I'm like, "Dog, like Mason Rudolph is really not good at all." So if they start him, I'm gonna be cheering for that. But yeah, like I said, the Steelers are gonna be they're gonna be pretty dope.
I think so also. Yeah, I think people are sleeping on them. And as far as the AFC West to really close this out over here, that's obviously on paper and what we all think is probably going to be the toughest division. Chiefs, Raiders are in the playoffs last year, both of them. Broncos missed because they didn't have a quarterback. Now they do. They got Russell Wilson. And the Chargers probably should have made it. But again, their coach let them down. What do you think happens in that division? What's your 1 through 4?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not that high on the Broncos like everybody else.
Okay.
Let's see. He said we had it's the Raiders.
Yeah, Raiders and Chiefs both made the playoffs this year. The Chiefs won the division for the 6th year in a row. Chargers missed it in that last game because, again, Brandon Staley just failed them. And Denver, they were 7-10, I believe. But I think they could turn that record around to 10-7 because it's not just about Russell Wilson to me, LA. They also got Randy Gregory and DJ Jones on that defensive line to add on to an already excellent defense. I think they're going to be very tough. I think they're going to run the ball with Javonte Williams. I think Denver is a playoff team.
Yeah. Still not
got the formula.
But that is a tough division. Wow. I think that the Chiefs still win it. Because like I said, you have to beat the best. And they've been killing that division.
That's right.
And like I said again, like the Tyreek, they're not really that worried about it. And I mean, if they're not that worried about it, then I guess they know something that we don't. Like I said, so I would still go with the Chiefs. Second, I would go with who?
Tough.
Yeah. Oh,
I think the Chargers have maybe the most talent.
I'm gonna go with the Raiders for a second.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna go
Yeah.
with the Raiders for a second, just because like Derek Carr. I became a big fan of Derek Carr, like especially last season, to see what he went through as far as his organization and to have the will of that team and and still keep winning games and stuff like that. Like I think that's what a true leader looks like right there, man. So I became a big fan of him, especially last season.
That is
Um,
very well said. Because you're right, he didn't have a lot of players with him last year. Waller was hurt a lot. There was no Devontae Adams. He had to rely on Hunter Renfro for everything. So, and he still had a great year. You're right.
third, I'm gonna go with the Chargers. I mean, we know the talent that they got. We just got done talking about Herbert. Then they added pieces on the defensive side as well, which was one of their biggest weaknesses.
Yeah.
I like the Chargers, and then after that, I'll go with the Broncos. But this is gonna be a nasty dogfight right there.
Ooh. And look, and you know what? It wouldn't surprise me if any of them finished in first or in last, because that's how good they are. And you know what? It may take an injury, unfortunately, and we never root for that in order for the tables to turn a little bit. If any one of these quarterbacks get hurt, then it's probably lights out for that team. So let's hope that doesn't happen. I would love to see this competitive division. It'll be great. It'll be absolutely great.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. But yeah, I would love for everybody to stay healthy or whatever. Of course, like I said, we don't root for injuries or anything like that, but we know it happens. We've already seen it happen already in the preseason, which it sucks, but it happens. But yeah, man, if everybody can stay healthy for the most part, or stay somewhat healthy in that division, that's gonna be nasty. And yeah, even my division is gonna be nasty. So like, yeah, the AFC is stacked, man.
Well, and that's the last thing I wanted to ask you before we bust on out of here is the Cleveland Browns. You know, they're going to be 11 games with Brissett. Do you think that he can hold down the fort and Cleveland can sneak into the playoffs?
Um, okay, of course, if the worst that could happen, we all know that scenario. But best case scenario, I think he still has us in the hunt. And then when Watson comes back, then we're still in the hunt.
Okay.
Which is gonna be like it's gonna be like electric, especially with him coming back. I just don't know. And this is the one thing, Jason, I'm gonna tell you is that especially when I watched him play in that preseason game and the boos and stuff that he got,
Mm-hmm.
it really affected him. I could see his body language, I could see his eyes. It really, really messed him up because remember, Watson had never done anything like this. Like, he was always beloved on and off the field. He was in the community. He was doing all kinds of stuff. He has never dealt with any kind of adversity like this on the field, getting the boos. The Jaguar fans started like a chant, some kind of like random chant, like you weird something or something like that. And they were that throughout the stadium. I mean, it was just really, really like rattling for him emotionally. So even with him coming back, I'm still very concerned about that, Jason, to be honest with you.
All right, I got you. I understand. Yeah, it's not like he's going to jump right in and all of a sudden he's going to grab the offense immediately and they're going to be taken off from the first quarter on and for the rest of the season. So, yeah, I get it. Again, the AFC is so tough, it's going to be really difficult for them. But I'll be very curious to see how Jacoby Brissett does. And then Watson, when he comes in, you're right. He's really never had to deal with that. Even at Clemson, I mean, he was so beloved and everything. So that's a really, really good point. And it did affect him because I think he went, 4 of 12, in that first preseason game?
He did. I think it was like one of seven or something like. He
Oh,
only
one
had
of
like yeah.
against.
He only had like 7 yards. He only
Yeah,
completed 7 yards and he only completed one pass. That crazy enough, and this was what the Jaguar fans are so funny to me. But they were going at me on Twitter because they were like, "Ooh, we held y'all to 7 yards because like the first quarter we only had 7 total yards." And then I was like, you do realize that like I have no starters out there right now, right? Like none at all. You know what I'm saying? Like we were going up against their starters, and we were playing with our like second and third string people, and they were just talking so much crap. And then that's when then we just beat their butt after that. But yeah, that first quarter, yeah, that was looking really crazy. And like I said, I just noticed his body language. I noticed the way that he was looking. I noticed the way that he was like trying to control the huddle. Keep trying to hear and stuff like that. Man, it was crazy, and it wasn't that many fans there. It was like maybe 10,000 people there, I think.
wow.
Because nobody goes to a Jaguar game. So
Yeah.
so like
Love
I
their
was
preseason.
but you could hear like through the TV and everything like that, just all the boos and all the chants and all that stuff. And I was just like, dang, like this dude is really shook right now. Like he's never dealt with that before. So
Yeah.
so it's gonna be very interesting to see
Ooh, I know we cut out for a second. LA will be right back with us. There
sorry
he
about
is. No, it's
um
all good.
but yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to see where his headspace is. The one thing I do hate about the suspensions is that um how they make the player stay away from the team, like and from the facility. That is so stupid to me because if you have a player that is in some kind of trouble or something like that, the one thing you would want them to do is to be around the team and the facility so that they can continue to get the encouragement that they need. You know, if they have a rough day, they could talk to the coaches. You know, don't sit up there and tell him to stay home where that's when most players like will either relapse or have some kind of issue or something like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I just don't like that part of if you're gonna suspend a player, like, oh, he can't come to the facility, he can't do nothing, no team meetings. I think they had asked Coach Stefanski if he was even allowed to talk to him, and he said he would have to go back over the rules because he's not even sure. And I was like, that's just stupid to me.
Yeah, all those little logistic things in there they have. I know it is kind of strange, but I guess if I try to play devil's advocate or something, and you get suspended from work, it's not like you're going into your office and doing any paperwork or anything like that. But I do get what you're saying. I understand, and yeah, he's suffering. Also, $5 million. I know he's getting paid $230 million, but $5 million ain't nothing to sneeze at, man. That's a big freaking deal, no
Yeah,
doubt.
no.
Wow.
And the 5 million
LA,
going out charities, you know, to help women that have been like, you know, battered and different things like that. So definitely shout out to those charities and everything. And again, and I know Jason said, shares the sentiment is that we are not condoning any actions, or you know, have any kind of like positive feeling towards what DeShaun Watson was accused of. So you know, just to let you guys know, as far as me being a Browns fan, like I said, I'm a team person, and I'm not sitting up here and saying that I support DeShaun Watson at all in his actions, if you know, if he did or if he didn't, because again, you know, he wasn't convicted of anything technically. So you know, it just is what it is. And like I said, it was an exhausting matter. I'm glad that the waiting part is over. We know what's going to happen, and now not only can fans move forward, but now the team can as well.
no doubt. I think you explained that really well, and you let your stance be known that, again, you're rooting for the jersey, and that's the way it is. And no, we do not condone anything that he was accused of, and nor do we know what happened. But even if there's a hint of truth to it, we know it's disgusting. And again, we're human beings, and so is he. He's a human being who made obviously a very big mistake, or mistakes, I should say, and now he's got to suffer from it from the public eye, and he's going to have to do a lot to get back in favor. I even think about Michael Vick, which was a different situation, but he did gain public favor after a little while by showing remorse and doing charity work and so on and so forth. So it's not to say that Deshaun Watson's career is completely ruined. It's
Well,
not.
we have another player on our team that did that exact thing, and now you don't hear anything about it in Kareem Hunt. I mean,
Kareem
that's
Hunt.
why we have Kareem Hunt. And ever since he's been on the Browns, he's kept his head down. He's done his charity work, counseling, which Deshaun Watson, that's a part of the agreement that they settled upon, is that he has to do counseling. So he will
Right.
be, so it's mandatory. So like I said, I don't think that I don't judge a person off of the mistakes that they made. Like, you know, I think everybody has a chance to be able to turn it around because nobody's perfect. So
No.
I'm just rooting for the young man to be able to turn his life around, and then hopefully nothing like this will ever come up again when it comes to him.
That's right, and that's so well said. Again, this is the first time that we know of that anything has happened like this. Relatively remotely close with Deshaun Watson. As far as we knew anything before this, he was a good guy and a great football player, and that was that. But things do happen, and again, there are huge mistakes that are made, and some people get caught, some people don't. But like LA said, we're not going to judge him and his entire life on this incident, or again, a couple of incidents over a year or two. Let's hope again that he learns from it and becomes a better man and a better leader on the field. So I think that was all really well said, bro, and a great way to close it out. But before we do get out of here, tell us what's going on next with you. I know that we can't wait for you to get on 3rd and 3 and start that writing action, but you're a busy man. You got Brownstown, so what's new?
Yeah, so hopefully when these computer issues get solved, I'll be able to get on the 3rd and 3, contribute to you guys. Um, definitely make sure you check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Brownstown USA. We My guy over there, Eric, he does an amazing job with keeping the page updated. With all the current Browns news, videos, pictures from the training camp, everything. So you can get all your Browns news over there at Brownstown USA. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at LA_Broadus. I talk a lot of sports. I talk a lot of food. I talk a lot of music,
Yeah.
all that stuff. So I mean, I'm pretty much a well-rounded guy when it comes to that kind of stuff. So definitely check me out, man.
No doubt. Check him out. He's the man. You're great on Twitter also, bro. You really are. You're one of the funniest dudes around there. You really are. You crack me up sometimes, man. I love it. Yep. Me and LA, we go back a long, long time, bro. Long time. So we're going to be doing a lot more shows together. He's regular family and 3rd and 3 family. So on Monday, we're doing Power 32. I got P. Sharkey, the General, Mike Patton coming in, and C. Lou. So it's a lot of AFC South action. So I can't wait to hear what they got to say. Titans fans, Colts fans, and talk about the Jaguars and Houston. We're all rooting for Lovie Smith to do well over there with the crap that they gave him. So we'll see. Again, another conversation for another time. But LA, thank you so much for joining me today, and we're going to do it again, my friend.
Absolutely.
All right. Power 32. We are out of here. We'll get you out of here with this. Check it out.